Welcome back. Even as this country faces a pandemic, there is also a presidential election underway. Joining me now, former Vice President and 2020 presidential candidate Joe Biden. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. Very much appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Mr. Vice President, experts are saying things are going to get a lot worse in the coming weeks, possibly the next 3 weeks or so, especially in this state of New York. They say a best case scenario is one where 100 or 200,000 people die in this country. That is astounding to me to even say those words. Americans are terrified. What is your message to them?
My message is that the president has to move more rapidly. You know, we know from experience that speed matters. We know that you can't go too fast. It's about going too slow. And in order to avoid those very high numbers, we have to do at least several things. One, we have to depend on what the president's going to do right now. And first of all, he has to wait till the cases before anything happens. Look, the whole idea is he's got to get in place things that we're shortages of. We're not testing enough people. Our first responders, docs and nurses don't have the gloves, the masks. They don't have the equipment they need. We're short on ventilators. And as this spreads to other areas, and which is likely to do, we don't have the capacity to surge the equipment that they need. He has to use the Defense Production Act much more aggressively, including not just in ventilators, but getting gloves, masks, shields, gowns, etc.
So you're saying move more rapidly. What are the steps that takes to happen? What does that look like for you at this very moment?
At this very moment, it means the president has to surge more equipment to New York and other places that are clearly in distress. And that means he has to be able to providing significantly more masks to protect these first responders and these docs and nurses. He has to provide the gowns so they're not wearing garbage bags to protect themselves, the shields around their faces when they're taking the blood and moving people. The testing, just the mere testing, significantly increased the number of tests available. The president had said that a couple weeks ago that every CVC and he named 4 outlets were going to have testing sites outside of their stores and the various places that they exist, when in fact there's only been 4, FOUR, that have been put in place so far. It requires much more rapid response to the needs of the first responders to detect where the people are who need help, when they need help, how they get to where they have to be. Are there enough ICU units? Do we have enough beds? Do we have enough protection for the docs?
So you've spoken to Governor Andrew Cuomo, I know. What do you make of this idea and this appeal the governor has made over and over, in which he says, send New York the supplies. Let us deal with this surge. Let us deal with this hot zone, and we will send it on to other states as they need it.
Well, he's right. He's right. What we should be doing is we should be surging as many supplies as we have to the places that are right now in crisis. That includes New York, it includes Louisiana, it includes New Orleans, it includes other places. And then while we're producing these new units, they can be sent to the places that are going to emerge. And then they can rotate it. But you got to get the supplies to the places that are the most urgently needed now.
You have said repeatedly that you are the kind of man that can reach across the aisle. You have a history of working with the other side. You have a history of working with your Republican colleagues. What do you think, Mr. Vice President, at this moment, this administration is doing right with this pandemic?
Well, look, I don't want to focus on all the mistakes they're making.
But not mistakes, Mr. Vice President, but what do you think they're doing right at this moment?
What they're doing right is letting Dr. Fauci speak more often. He's the truth teller. We don't need the kind of talk the president is using. The president has to stop the belittling of the governors with whom he disagrees. Stop making accusations that somehow some New York hospitals all of a sudden they need more masks, that we ought to investigate them. Maybe they're going out the back door. I mean, what is that all about? That is bizarre. Absolutely bizarre. Get the help to where it's needed now. And what they're doing right is they should let Dr. Fauci and the experts run the show, speak more, let them lay out exactly what's happening. Just tell the truth to the American people. They're tough. They can take it, but don't mislead them.
How do you tell the truth, Mr. Vice President, to the American people without sending them into an all-out panic, considering the possible numbers of people that could die amidst all of this?
The American people are tough. The American people went through crisis after crisis, and all presidents who've been great presidents have told them the truth and told them how it gets fixed. The president can tell the truth and say, and here's what I am doing. Watch me. I'm going to get this equipment. I'm going to invoke the Defense Production Act. I'm going to get this to the people who need it, the docs and the first responders. I'm going to help provide for the following and go on down the line. That's telling the truth. You don't tell people things that aren't true, and then when it turns out that they are not, in fact, realize the things you've told them, then they have no faith in leadership. Leadership is supposed to tell people the truth and tell them how we're going to get through it. And the way to get through it is with the production of the capacity that we need, as well as counting on people to do the right thing. And they're doing the right thing all across the board, except this attack on people who anyway, I shouldn't get going on that. But the point is, the focus should be on what is needed now. Every single expert has said, every morning I start off with a medical breakdown of what's going on that day. I was on the phone an hour and a half today with my docs and the docs who used to run the organizations that are now in place across the country. We, in fact, were that sit there, from the NIH to people who ran the CDC, et cetera. All they're saying is we know what is needed. Let's do everything in our power to do it. And the social distancing, and the president gets around to it really late. He was talked about social distancing not being required. Then he said it's going to be required. Well, so everybody will be in church on Easter. And now he's acknowledging that that's not going to happen. I mean, let's just level with the American people.
So, Mr. Vice President, I want you to respond to something that the president had to say about you this morning on Fox News. Take a listen.
Okay.
I don't mind running against Joe Biden. I watch these critiques of me, and they're highly sophisticated critiques. I said, where they're written out, Joe Biden has said, and then they put this very highly sophisticated statement out. I said, Joe Biden didn't write that statement, and Joe Biden doesn't even, I guarantee he didn't even see that statement. We want to always make sure that we have a great president. We have somebody that's capable. I personally don't think Joe Biden's capable. We'll see what happens.
Mr. Vice President, your response to that?
It doesn't warrant a response. It's bravado. It's a bunch of malarkey, as they say in my family.
But
look, everything that goes out, there's nothing that goes out in my name that I don't see. No one's authorized to put anything out that's not in my name. I've been through this before. We went through it in dealing with previous crises, including economic crises. And look, this is about just, Mr. President, let's get things done. Let's put the politics aside. You know we need more of everything. Why are you not insisting it be produced and demanding using your presidential authority to get it done? Nobody disagrees with that. Get it done. Step up and do your job. Stop campaigning.
Mr. Vice President, I got to be honest with you. Over the last 2 weeks or so, I've had a lot of people ask me online every single day, where is Joe Biden? As a candidate for president, are you making yourself visible enough, especially during this crisis? Because it is a fine line to walk. You certainly don't want to be seen as the candidate who is politicizing a pandemic when Americans face this crisis.
Everything that I have done has been designed to be constructive. You may recall I was the first one to call for the president way back in January 17th to take this seriously. A real serious crisis is coming, an article I wrote. I talked about doing the Defense Production Act before anyone came along. I put together a group of people who are outside experts who don't adhere to any party. They've served for 4 different presidents to say, what do we need to do now? I've been on the phone. So the best I can do from my position is to lay out what I think should be done, how to do it, and when it's not being done, say why. The experts say this is what we should be doing. Let's do it. Let's do it. And if we had moved quicker, we wouldn't be this far in the hole. Things are going to get worse unless the president moves quickly to do the things I've just said. And everybody knows that. There's no one who disagrees with that. And the idea of the president picking fights with governors based on whether or not he likes the, half Whitmer and, calling a governor of a western state a snake. And what's that all about? What does that have to do with governing in a crisis?
I do have one final question for you, because as you've been seeing, our healthcare system seems to be crumbling underneath this crisis. There is not enough. There's not enough support for the healthcare system. There's not enough support for the American people inside of the healthcare system. Are you now reconsidering your position when it comes to single-payer healthcare?
Single payer will not solve that at all. The thing that is needed is, for example, we have a whole number of hospitals that are being so stretched, including rural hospitals, they're going to need more financing. That doesn't come from a single payer system. That comes from the federal government stepping up and dealing with the concerns that they have, the reimbursement that they're going to get, how they're going to be able to move forward, and how they're going to be able to provide all the needed help that are needed in their communities. This is an opportunity to look at reconstructing the healthcare system in a way that, in fact, can respond more rapidly and more effectively to these kinds of crises, because it's going to come again. We should be spending, and we are spending, a great deal of time and effort finding a vaccine, finding a way that we can deal with preventing these diseases further down the road. But, for example, we had people, when our administration, we had CDC people in other countries because we wanted to anticipate when, in fact, another virus would occur, when, in fact, a pandemic might occur as a consequence of a spreading virus in another country, to act quickly. President, we withdrew those people. I insisted that I didn't insist. I suggested that we should have people in China at the outset of this event. And when it all started in Wuhan province, and what happened? We did not insist that they go into the areas we wanted to. So I just, that's all I can do, is do what I know has to be done, say what I know has to be done.
So if you become the nominee and then you do win the general election, a lot of ifs there, how quickly in that matter can you reassemble the pandemic team that the president got rid of?
Very quickly. Very quickly. It can be done very quickly. And that's what my team is talking about right now. How will we do that if we win? And what will we do exactly on day one? How will it start?
All right,
but hopefully, in the meantime, the president will have taken some action. The action that not Democrats, informed people are suggesting he take. Get more equipment to the first responders. Insist that you use the power you have to get that equipment there. Follow up. Follow up. Make sure that what you say is accurate. Listen to your scientists and your experts. You have some very good people with you. Let them speak. Don't mislead.
Former Vice President and Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden, thank you so much for your time, sir. Appreciate it.
Well, thanks for giving me the time.
Thank you.
So they don't wonder where I am.
Now I know. When they ask me, where is Joe Biden, I say he was on the 2 p.m. show on MSNBC. Take a look.
That's right.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.